All right, it's a busy sports season here in Boston, but some big news dropped yesterday, and that's the Patriots schedule just got released. Joining us now is Dan Roche. And Dan, what were your main takeaways after you saw the Patriots schedule here for the upcoming 2025 campaign?
My main takeaways are those same as I have for those people that do the draft thing and release picks before the schedule is released. That's the one thing, because it's like Christmas for Patriots fans. It's a nice event. It's a nice gift as you get to see the entire schedule be released at the same time. The Patriots doing they're all doing social media things and what have you. But I don't want leaking of games. They're going to play this game here, this game here. What fun is that for anybody? What fun? It's to me, I'm just being a grouchy old man here, Joe, to say. But I just want to enjoy the schedule when it comes out, and then take my time, digest it, and then move on. Let me enjoy my time here. So I needed to stay off social media more than I did yesterday because I was at the Celtics game. So it made it a little bit more difficult. But I love the schedule release. I think it's great. I think we're going to hear 5,000 times now, at least today, what their projected record's going to be, and guess the record and everything else. So, but it's all fun. And the NFL loves it because it gets talk of the NFL everywhere you go. And I feel bad generally for the Kansas City Chiefs, who are going to play about 9 primetime games, which is just really bad, including Christmas, everything. So Patrick Mahomes is the star. We know that. But, man, that's a lot of nighttime games they're playing. So, other than that, Patriots, I'm looking forward to the schedule, one game at a time, and it should be fun.
And I think their projected record is going to be, I'm just kidding. But no, there were a couple of things that really stood out about the schedule release, Dan. And the first thing I want to start off with, which I think a lot of people that want to be optimistic about this upcoming season will see, is that they have the third easiest schedule based on the records of teams from last season. What do you make of that part of it? The fact that, at least on paper, it looks like an easier schedule than a lot of other teams in the NFL have.
I don't make much of it, Joe, only because, especially in the NFL, every season is unique. You don't seem to have perennially, right, year in, year out, the same teams. It's like, yes, you have Kansas City and what have you, but I think there's a lot of different sleepers, a lot of different records and everything else. So I think it's fine if you look at it on paper, but I think it's more of, how are they on the field? Can they get back to being a good team, a contending playoff team? That's the biggest thing. So with that said, Joe, I think maybe if you start, I think the first quarter of the season is a gettable part of the season for the Patriots. And you would hope that under Mike Vrabel, and I don't want to lay all these expectations on Vrabel and his new staff and what have you, but you would look at it and say, they should be 2-2, right? Maybe they should be 2-2 if you're looking at it from a Patriots fan perspective.
And they kick it off against the Raiders at Gillette, which will be fun for many different reasons. The Raiders actually do have some interesting pieces. Brock Bowers obviously is a great player. They have Geno Smith now, and Pete Carroll, former Patriots head coach, and of course is a part of Patriots history forever with what happened in the Super Bowl 10 years ago. He's on the other sideline, Dan. So this is actually, I think, a pretty fun way to start the season. And then you add on top of that, it's actually a pretty winnable game too.
Yeah, and I think, it's the silver and black. You love their uniforms. Tom Brady is a part owner, so that kind of plays into it. We always tie Patriots into what they're doing. Josh McDaniels, was there with the Raiders, the head coach of the Raiders. So he's playing his former team here as the offensive coordinator of the Patriots. And then, one other thing is you have rookie running back Ashton Genty making his debut, the highly touted running back out of Boise State. So that'll be fun to watch too. So a lot of drama in that first game. I think that's pretty cool. But I think if you look, and I'm sure, Mike Vrabel's going to say what he says, but that's a winnable game for the Patriots if you look at it. And yes, Geno Smith is a good veteran quarterback. They're a good team. But that's a winnable opener for this Patriots team. So it kind of makes you say, okay, if everything can go right here preseason training camp, then they have a chance to come right out of the gate and get a W.
And you hit on that quarter part of the schedule, the first quarter. You got the Raiders, you got the Dolphins, you got the Steelers, you got the Panthers before you have to play on the road against the Bills and what will be a Sunday night game. So, yeah, as you I think that is a pretty gettable stretch, and we'll see what the Pats, now that are rebuilt through the draft or free agency, what they'll do this year. Dan, I wanted to add
hold on. Let me put the beads of sweat dripping down the forehead and put an L for at Miami in week 2, right? Because it's going to be 6,000 degrees at a Hard Rock Stadium for that one. It's always a tough game for the Patriots. Has always been under Brady, Belichick, and company. So it doesn't get easy with that one. For some reason, they get stuck with that game and they get down there and you say, oh, we'll train in the heat in the bubble or whatever. It's just hot. It's just really tough to play. The sun is on the visiting side of the stadium. That's a difficult one. But I think the other two, again, at home, Pittsburgh, and we'll see if they eventually get Aaron Rodgers or if they stick with Mason Rudolph and company. So that's a winnable game. And then Carolina has struggled the last several years like the Patriots. So that's a winnable game too. So I think they have a chance to get out of the gate pretty well. And that's, I think, we should take to that first block as we look at this Patriots schedule.
And it's funny, you mentioned the travel to Miami, and you're right. Like that place has just been a house of horrors for years, even when the Patriots were consistently winning. But one thing they don't have to do this year, Dan, is make a West Coast trip, like to the actual West Coast. And then on top of that, they don't have any international games either. How much do you think that helps the Patriots?
I think it's huge. It's like, again, you don't want to have to travel if you don't have to. If you don't have to go to the West Coast, that's fine. The Patriots seem to handle it fine or whatever, but that you don't have to go in the international game either. So I think, maybe because they've been 4-13 the past couple of seasons that they've been kind of taken out of the limelight per se and don't have as many games, then they have the possibility of flexing the schedule. But like you said, travel-wise, it's good. I think the furthest they go maybe is New Orleans and Miami. Those are kind of the two places that you stand out when you look at it. So I think it's pretty good as far as travel is concerned. And again, only 3 primetime games to start anyway. I think it looks good if you're Mike Vrabel and company looking over the schedule this morning.
Let's end on the primetime games part of it, Dan. What does it mean that they have a couple more of these? Is that significant to you?
I think it piques the interest because it's Mike Vrabel. I think there's a lot of people around the NFL that want to see what he is like as a coach in round 2 here. He was very, very good in round 1. And I think that's the interest. And the other thing too, Joe, is Drake May. He's in year 2. He certainly showed at times flashes of brilliance. So I think you put those, again, always go back to it's a NFL. It's a head coach quarterback league. Those are your 2 stars. And you look around the teams that play on primetime, most of the time it's because who are the stars? We mentioned the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. That's what they look for when it comes to the networks and what they're looking for as far as primetime sellable games. So I think if you look at them, at Buffalo is always a difficult one with Josh Allen and company. But, the talk has always been Drake May showing a lot of the traits of a Josh Allen. And then if you look at the other 2, it's the Jets at home on a Thursday night. You got to get that game out of the way, right? Every team pretty much plays there. So we'll see the all green uniforms of the Jets. And, that's always a fun battle. And then the Giants, you got to love that old school on an 8:15 Monday night game. So I think that's one of those things that you look at, and that's the reasons why they're there. But again, there's the flexing part of the schedule too. And I think if the Patriots do exceed expectations of a lot of the national prognosticators, then they could add a couple more too. But I think it's exciting, right? It's exciting that this new era under Mike Vrabel has begun. And you hope, and from everything we've seen so far, a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of teaching. And I think it should be fun to watch.
It should be. And again, it's at the very beginning of the season. Now knowing the schedule, at least you're starting to see the makings of a season that's going to be a lot more interesting than last year in the sense that this team might be playing some meaningful games going into November and into December as well. So we'll see.
And that's what you want. You want them to be, as far as I'm concerned, I want them to be better in the second half of the season than they were in the first, right? That's what we were looking for with Gerard Mayo and that team last year, and we didn't see it. And that was the disappointing part, especially down the stretch. We didn't see it as well. After the bye week, where the bye week is late again, it's week 15, and then they've got 3 ridiculous tests in at Baltimore, at the New York Jets, which is never easy, and then at home against Miami. So those 3 games will say a lot as to where they are. Are they in the playoff hunt? Are they looking for a wild card spot? How good can they be? So I think there's a lot of benchmarks you can go through with this football team, with this schedule, to say where are they in the Mike Vrabel year 1 era as we go about business. And that's what you want, right? That's the exciting part of breaking down the schedule, Joe. It's what we do. Have a lot of fun with it, look at it. And the other thing I'll also say is there are technically right now before the flexing, there's 11 games on WBZ CBS, which is fantastic for us and everyone involved. We love the coverage. We love having fun. We love carrying the game. So we'll have our pregame show, Patriots Game Day, every Sunday at 11:30, and then we'll have our post-game show, the fifth quarter, either on WBZ TV or TV 38 streaming as well. So that's good for us. It's fun. We've got our Patriots All Access show every Friday, and First Down every Wednesday night. Yada 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 yada. Right?
WBZ, the place to be with this guy's face all over all those shows. Yeah, appreciate it.
Always fun, Joe.